United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Carol.
Here.
Tom.
Here.
Bob.
Here.
Rod.
Here.
Approval of minutes. Any motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Since not, let's all vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Minutes approved. Clerk's report.
Yeah, so we had 479 votes, which according to the estimate provided by the Department of Administration represents 31% of the estimated number of electors in our town, which is 1,550. I'd like to say big thanks to Bruce, Dorothy, Sherry, Dwayne, Mary Jane, and Bernice. All of them logged some very long hours that day and were great to work with. They were knowledgeable and patient and made the day a great success. I received a certified letter at my home for a notice of public hearing from Marathon County Environmental Resources Committee for August 30th, 2022 at 3 p.m. This is related to the Tammy Wenzel rezone. If you want a copy of that, I can forward it to you. We received one zoning permit for a property on Winterberry. Ellen Grundum from Wisconsin Emergency Management sent an email to a bunch of folks, including our town clerk email address. And from what I can tell, it's a reminder to submit a Category Z form if we have a FEMA project under DR 4520 COVID disaster. So I emailed back and forth with her and I asked her if we had submitted any items for reimbursements. And she says that she didn't see any previous grants submitted by the town. I asked her what kind of things are covered under this grant. The only thing that I remember hearing about being purchased for the COVID disaster was laptops for the town board members. So she said that technology is not covered under the grant. Things that are covered are social distancing measures such as signs, boards, plexiglass, hand wipe, sanitizing spray, and other cleaning items, masks, gloves, and PPE, miles logged, to obtain PPE, stuff like that, testing for staff or costs associated with staffing up for staff shortages, and then the baseline amount to submit the grant would be $3,300. So I wanted to bring that to you guys if you have any ideas of what kind of things that we might have bought that might qualify under this grant. Off the top of my head, I can't recall anything. I know that we purchased plexiglass, but I don't know if we purchased $3,300 worth of plexiglass. So if you can think of anything that like you want me to look for, I can go search for it. Otherwise, I think that we probably don't have any expenses to submit for this.
I think what happened with that grant was we went over the top with it by like $1,600, and then they reimbursed us anyway, because it was like 40-some thousand that we ended up getting.
Okay, she said that she didn't see any previous submissions from the town, so maybe she was.
Because we got the new doors put in here, we got the drop box put in, we got the air conditioner and the furnace put in.
Yeah, I imagine that this must be something else, because otherwise she would have been able to see that. So, okay, I mean, if you can think of something, let me know. The deadline was July 1st apparently, but she said that we could still apply. There would just be some hoops that I would have to jump through with her. So I'm willing to do that, but I would need some expenses to go track down before we could do anything with that. And that looks like that's the end of my report. It was just, I just wanted the committee to get that correspondence too.
Waiver of fees for Fall Fest for fireworks permit.
You want a motion to waive the fees for the office fireworks permit?
Yes.
Is that what, $10? Do you know?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion to waive the fee for Fall Fest fireworks permit.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
So one of the things we talked about at the last meeting was the type of fireworks that we're gonna use.
I didn't catch the second, who was the second?
I said one of the things we talked about last week.
second it.
Oh, Tom did. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So do we have any more information on the type of fireworks and?
Yes. We actually have a review tonight.
We shoot 3-inch to 8-inch shells. Dates being the biggest, most expensive, we only have 4 or 5 of those that breaks in the shoulder. That gives you some general info on what they do.
I think maybe you need to go over some of this with us, Ernie.
Okay, the first page, that's just an info page about what they do. Oh, it's not there, okay. That tells you, like for instance, the 3-inch shells take off the ground at 100 miles an hour, 8-inch at 160, so this ain't nothing to fool around with. 3.5 seconds of flight time before they break up on top. They typically go 100 feet in the air for every inch of diameter. So 8-inch shell goes 800 feet, 3-inch goes 300. The industry standards pretty much for how the shells break is 45 feet per inch of diameter. So a 3-inch shell is 135 foot diameter, an 8-inch shell is 360 feet diameter, roughly. Some of them are smaller, depending on how the shell is built. The next page tells you that the recommendations and requirements for clearance from audiences are 70 feet per inch of shell. So 8-inch shell would be 560 feet. And consider the fact you're up on the road up there and the audience is down here by the building, that's over a quarter mile, so that's made. I mean, that's no problem.
What about the neighboring properties, any of the neighboring properties in that range?
It does not specify about buildings or properties,
What if a homeowner
but for what?
is home,
Oh, they can sit outside and watch.
but they have to be outside of that range?
They'd have to be outside that range. And if you look at the last page, the closest one would be Dorothy, and she would be right on the limit of where we put the 8-inch shells up. If she's home, or sitting outside.
So you're saying that the 8-inch shell would require a 360 foot radius?
Oh, 560.
560.
560.
And her house is roughly 525, 530.
So you're shooting these off of that road, right on the
On the
road?
road. Far safer spot where we used to shoot them off below the pond, right down below here. And like I said, we only shoot 4 or 5 inches in the shoulder, just one here and there, just for a big ooh and ah and a break, because I don't have the guys down here below, set a box off down by the pond. Gives a load as a break.
What about the ones when they're high up in the air and they have that big boom? I mean, some of them are pretty strong.
Salutes, those are usually only 3-inch shells. Never called salutes. They're 3-inch. That's all there is, just a big boom. And last year, we didn't have any of those.
Yes, you did.
There were none in the package. I unloaded
Something
the,
blew up because our porch was vibrating. We're a mile and a half
you're,
away.
yeah, you're a mile and a half away, and that's, your porch is not gonna vibrate, not from a fireworks shell.
Bullshit, go over there, that time you blow the stuff up, go sit on our porch.
If that happened, nobody up there would be alive, because it'd have to be a big giant.
I'm telling you, we were sitting on the porch, the big boom was up here and our porch vibrated.
That
Now
can't
you bullshit, I'm telling you.
be, you're lying.
No,
We're not.
screw you, pal, I ain't lying.
We'd all be dead if that was a fact.
Bob,
If
did
it
you say
made
your
that big a
windows
boom
were
to vibrate your
vibrating?
porch, we would not be alive up there on the hill.
Bob said his windows were vibrating in his house.
That can't be either, because he's through a woods.
Bob, you're lying, I'm telling you he's lying, go ahead.
No,
You told me,
I was
so
sitting
Bob's
in my
lying.
house, because I have 2 young grandchildren, and they were getting tired, so we didn't even sit here for the fireworks. And I was in my living room, which is on the south side of my house, and I could hear the window shake from the impact of the shot.
That shouldn't be, because you're behind woods.
I understand that.
That
but-
concussion ain't.
Hey, tell him he's
I
lying,
did.
tell him he's lying,
Yeah, he's down there.
tell him he's lying.
You both are.
Well, tell him he's lying.
What kind of decibels do those big booms make?
I have no idea.
You want me, if I'd have been aware that we were gonna have Ernie here today, I had somebody from the pit come down and set their machine up in my yard 2 years ago. And that would tell you exactly what that sound is like. It's like a war.
Well, of course, there's a lot of shells going off, one right after another. That's what a show is.
No consideration
Of what?
of me, my other neighbors, anybody here.
You have not liked fireworks since we started them 30 years ago.
How many years ago?
31 years ago.
When you guys ran everybody through the fences? Do you have a dog?
Yes,
Bring him over here.
I have no way to control them over here. No place to put them to watch them.
Put him on a leash.
Yeah, I know what dogs do, like with
And I know
fireworks.
what my horses do, I know what my dogs do.
Oh, yeah, what do
Everything.
they do when there's lightning? What do you do with a close lightning strike? What do they do with that? Same thing, don't they?
No,
You can't tell your horses don't run when there's lightning bolt.
no, they don't.
I don't know if I believe that.
I don't believe much of anything.
Yeah, here she's got a note, depending on construction, they can reach 150 decibels, and some of them reach 175, but that's sound, that's dependent on how far, or how close you are to it, too.
100 decibels, 100 feet, is that what you said? Or?
150 decibels, it does not specify where that reading is taken.
Okay, 100, you said 110?
150, it just says 150 decibels.
Well,
sometimes
150 decibels,
150 decibels, but it doesn't say where that reading is taken.
that's pretty high,
Yeah, but is that right below them, or is it half a mile away?
yeah.
Is there such a thing as quiet fireworks?
Oh,
Not the big long bang.
I don't think so.
So the 8-inch shells are marginal for the distance of clearance to property. I mean, I think that we
If she's sitting out there, yes.
demonstrated that.
Yeah, but it doesn't specify property or buildings. It only specifies the audience.
So George, to answer your question, partly answer it, I stopped at 2 fireworks places in the last couple months here and talked to them, the Big Blue Barn. I stopped in there and talked to the owner of that place and asked him if he has ever heard of quiet fireworks. He has not. He gave me a number of a person I could call that's actually with engineering of these things. I have not done that. I also stopped on the way up north. There's a place just out of Wausau. It's close to like Merrill. It's on the east side of the road. It's a fireworks place there on one of the exits. I stopped in there and talked to him also. He was just the manager. He was not the owner of the store. And he also told me he's never heard of quiet fireworks. But that is not to say they're not out there. I am gonna call this number and find out if,
Well, it just stands to reason that there's gotta be quieter fireworks, because not everyone that you shoot off
there's probably
makes
quieter
a big
ones.
loud bang,
Yeah.
like some of them has.
The salutes make the big bang.
Pardon me?
The salutes, ones just go flash. The other ones that make a big flower, That's just a break, a shell break. That's
Yeah,
just
as
a.
long-
Well, explain to me then, why does the one or two rock the world basically? I mean, and vibrated our porch, I'm telling you.
Why do you need those?
And the rest of them didn't. And
They might have been, if it was a salute.
How would he
See,
know?
a few years ago, I had a 5-inch salute.
You what?
I had a 5-inch salute. That was one giant, huge bang. But they're also very costly, so I don't get those anymore.
Why
And I
don't you
know,
eliminate the salutes and just go with the color?
Yeah, why?
yeah, I thought last year we didn't have any salutes. If we did, I unloaded the shell, I didn't notice any either, but they could have had one mixed in there.
They do make silent fireworks, because I was present at one several years ago in Lang Lake County Fair, 4th of July weekend. They had a race up there, we were up there. And it was really pretty, lots of colors, there's not a single boom.
Just
If you want to
quiet.
contact Lang Lake County Fair Board to find out, you know, where they got the silent show.
Well, quiet's gonna be relative then, because you've got a black powder charge, boosts that shell into the air, and there's black powder inside that shell to break it, ignite it, and spread it. And when you have black powder blowing up, you have sound. When it's compressed inside of a casing,
But not to the extent that a couple of them were.
then if that's a salute, yeah.
Not every firework that you shoot off is not equal in
Oh,
noise.
yeah, well, yeah, 3-inch to 8-inch, there's a big difference from 3-inch to 8-inch.
Yeah.
You stand next, you walk away from the 8-inch shell and I watch it, 10 feet away, it pushes me in the back, a concussion off the ground. 3-inch shell doesn't do that.
Yeah, I damn near fell off the porch on that one too.
Oh, bullshit.
What the hell, I'm a liar, why not?
I think the launch coming off of the ground is muffled a lot because it's close.
It's a barrel shooting up in the air, so it's like a rifle.
Right,
That
right.
goes up
So
there.
it's the report at the top, I think, is the.
Yeah, and that's just a shell break.
Right, and the big
Exactly.
flowering ones, I don't think there's a lot of noise with those.
No, there's not.
There's some, but there's not a ton.
Yeah,
You know, I guess
So-
I would advocate that we don't do those report ones.
the salutes, yeah, I can tell them the salutes.
Yeah.
What was different last year than what you've been doing for a while?
As
Was
far
there
as,
something different?
well, we got a better deal last year, because I just said, this is what we're gonna spend, send me a bunch of shells. And rather than pick out a prearranged set of shells that they had to hand pick, they sent me full cases, 3-inch, 4-inch, 5 and 6-inch, which are mostly all different each case. And I got more shells for that, because we had 350 shells last year. That's the most we ever shot off. And we got to the end, music ran out, we had a lot of shells to get rid of. So the end got a little bit hectic. But yeah, I can specify no salutes. I know in the city of Marshfield, they have a very confined space down there in the racetrack area. So they only shoot, I think the biggest they shoot are 5-inch. And even that's pretty marginal as far as how close the crowd is.
Why did you find a different spot to blow them off? Edge of John Bajowski's property over there.
Crowd can't see it. Well, they won't see it much.
They'll see it up in the air.
Yeah, but that's closer to the buildings.
Do it over the park.
What about over your field out there?
Out in the field, you won't want me out in your field.
You can do it over the park.
Problem is we use that for
That's
parking.
too close, that's where the parking for the cars are.
Find a different place.
And then you have kids playing at the playground all night, so you really can't shoot them off over here. Because you have kids at the playground from the time it starts to pretty much the time everybody's ready to go on for the fireworks. If they're not watching the fireworks, they're after playing on the playground. And then your kids will be too close to it.
I mean, you guys left one heck of a mess over by Dorothy's place last year. She picked up bags and bags and bags and bags.
Yeah, and that was an act of God, because when we started, wind was from the northwest.
It still was
By
your
the time-
garbage.
Yeah, and Mike went there in the morning, he was picking stuff up on her front lawn, and she was gonna call the cops on her for trespassing.
Well, I guess you should
That's-
have
Mike
asked.
told me that.
You hold it there.
That's
When
what he
I
told me.
went to church, Mikey Stockheimer was down by where you blow them off.
Yeah,
I went to church, I come back, and he's wandering around my yard. He didn't have a bag picking up anything.
he said he was.
He lied.
I don't know if I believe that, but anyway.
Wouldn't you think with the animosity that there is between whoever Dorothy say in the fire department, that he would have called her or somebody would got a hold of her and says, we wanna pick up the debris, and not just was storming in, I'd have kicked his ass off my property too.
If she's not home, what can you do?
Stay off
Wait
the property.
Wait
Okay,
until,
all right, you can do that.
I also
But that was-
don't,
but that
you
was-
guys in the fire department, you got an answer for everything, man, I'll tell
The
you.
wind switched during the show.
You what?
The wind switched, that's why she got debris in her yard.
Well, she had it in her field too, so you're shooting it right over her field, into the crops.
Over to the east.
No.
No.
My fields are to the
By
west.
you?
Mhm.
Yeah, well, the shells break sideways, yeah, they're gonna maybe have a little come down there, yeah. But the wind is normally from the west or northwest, and that's where it was. By the end of the show, it had switched to the north because it was blowing all the crap down the shooting line, and we were choking and gagging on smoke and embers finishing the show.
You
That we
gotta
can't
shoot the
control.
crap off of her property, whether it blows over by her house or it's in her field, that's wrong. That's just wrong.
We have no control over the wind.
Well, she's got control of her property. I think I have a pissy fit, and I can call the cops and say, hey, I don't want this crap. She does have that control.
She has control of that, but if she really does want it picked up, I think it has to be a two-way street too. If they're coming over to offer to pick up what, I get it, they're gonna
Nobody-
ask, I get it, I get it.
Tom, nobody
But-
came and offered. There
I'm
was-
just saying.
There was debris on top of my round bales that was burned.
I understand 100% what you're saying, but I think it has to go both
I-
ways. I do.
My suggestion is find a different place to pull it off.
Got none. There is none.
Can we use the church parking lot for parking?
Oh, that's not enough. That's not enough.
we
Yeah.
do use it.
That's
It
full.
is used.
The park is full, the roads are full up and down.
Why don't you just, for this year, skip the eights, skip the salutes, they won't go as high, maybe you won't get as much stuff blowing around. Tell all the neighbors, the next morning, we're gonna be in here to pick the stuff up. See what happens, no salutes, no 8-inchers, they won't go as high, shit won't blow as far, try it.
It depends on the wind, is the biggest thing.
Right, exactly, you don't know.
Yeah, regardless, you're gonna have wind one way or another, it's gonna blow the material somewhere. But
Yeah.
there needs to be a cleanup effort, and it needs
Well-
to be where you respect the landowner whose
All-
ever
all-
land that stuff falls on, and you need to contact them before you go on the property. That, the way they're aware that you're there.
Can we do that ahead of time? So if it's on her lawn in the morning and she's not home, we can go on her and get it?
Nope. Nope, you will stop and talk to me.
No, I see where the wind is from this year then.
Pardon?
Have to see where the wind comes from this year then.
Hear that, find another spot, blow off. Carol said you could do it over her pot at the last meeting.
That's too
Over
far
there.
away.
Yeah, they'd be up in the air high enough, you'd see them from over here.
Is there, like, if it's too windy, do you guys cancel the fireworks? Like, is there?
If wind is sustained 15 miles an hour constant, I won't shoot.
Okay,
That's too much.
okay.
Because that just does blow debris, it blows the whole shell.
Yeah.
That's enough to blow the shells.
Did you order all this stuff already, or no?
No.
Try going with something quieter. Appease everybody.
Well, that would be no salutes.
You what?
No salutes.
No solution?
No salutes.
The name of the
Reports, you know, the big bangs.
Don't get all pissy, I'm hard of hearing and you mumble, I can't understand half of what you say.
hard of hearing too.
Yeah, well, you understand what I say, don't you?
Yeah, because you're loud enough.
Thank you. I'm also a liar.
Okay, so what's the solution? Are you gonna just go for it, do like Perry said, and get the ones that,
I can order, tell them no salutes. And if you don't want 8s, that means you get more smaller ones.
Why don't we try that?
Because for the price of 1 8, I can get about 4 or 5 6s and about 8 or 10 5s and a lot more littler ones.
Why don't we try that?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea. I do.
Good idea.
I mean, it's
No solution.
starting to help people.
And see how it goes this year.
see how it
I
goes.
swear, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before we had no salutes. Because I've had
Yeah, I
complaints about,
remember,
I've
it
had
was
complaints,
for sure last year, I can't remember.
I've had complaints about salutes before, and it's like,
I know I commented to my wife that I was surprised that at this distance, that I would hear the windows vibrate when that salute went off. I was really surprised by that.
yeah, it's basically a quarter stick of dynamite up there.
Yeah, and being that high, I think, it just traveled.
And with the heavier, sometimes the heavier dew nights, it's,
Yeah.
there's,
This air's denser.
It drives
and
it down.
Travels.
How come you're not gonna tell Bob he's a liar and me, we did?
Oh, George, okay, I apologize,
You
but
should.
I
You
didn't,
should.
I don't, still don't
Next
believe
time,
it.
hey, next time before you go open your big mouth, think about what you're saying.
I knew what I said.
And you stand by it.
Yes,
How about Bob? You a liar too? I ain't gonna let this one rest. Bob, are you a liar?
I still don't believe you. Still can't.
Come on, join me.
I said, no, I'm not.
That's what I said too, but he didn't believe me.
So, do we just amend the motion
Dorothy?
to not
Dorothy, can, so
salutes and?
how do you want to set it up when that someone,
They will contact me in the morning. I don't want to come home from church or any place else and find people wandering all over my property. I already talked to my insurance agent about this, and he's gone to the main company, and they will stand behind me on any damages, and they will sue the town.
okay, so what
This is the
time?
last
What
time
time
we're
do you
doing
go
this.
to church so that we can kind of set up time here, so, or do you not go regularly at a regular time?
Yes, I do go at a regular time. I go
Well,
to
I'm
7 o'clock
saying,
mass.
so that we can have a kind of an estimate of,
I
because.
go to 7 o'clock mass.
So you'd be
Okay.
home like around 8, and we could try to contact you
yeah,
sometime shortly
that's what
after
I
8.
meant.
I'm gonna say 8:30
Yeah. So Carolyn, did you make the motion?
Yes, she made the motion to waive the fee.
I just made the motion to waive the fee. I didn't make any other motion.
As I seconded it,
Yeah.
you discussed.
Right.
Well, I don't think we have to vote on the size of the shells and the not doing it, we just have to, Ernie, as long as Ernie understands that.
We just needed the discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think, it wouldn't be, I think it might be wise to put it in there, that it's reflected in the minutes, otherwise the
Yeah.
minutes will say, motion to waive the fee.
So you would have to
Seconded.
amend your motion.
Okay, so I need to amend the motion.
Any board member can amend the motion on the floor.
Okay. All right.
And then
So I'd
that,
like
and
to
then,
amend the motion to state that we would not have any salutes or 8-inch fireworks. Is that the right term? 8-inch
Shells.
shells. And that,
Years ago, I set up a 10-inch at the end of every show. That I deemed to be too big. Even before I went up there, that was too big. So I put those.
and that cleanup the following morning would require contacting the adjacent landowners prior to going on the land to do the cleanup.
After 8 AM. Approximately 8 AM.
And that's totally wind dependent too.
Right.
all right, so I've got a motion to waive the fireworks permit fee of $10 and, require that no salutes and no 8-inch shells are performed, and cleanup will require contacting the adjacent landowners sometime after 8 AM the next day.
Yeah,
To
I would
clean up
say
debris.
anything 8-inch or larger,
Good, yep,
since there is a 10. We don't have to get specific.
right.
They make 16s.
They're exceedingly very
Okay.
Okay.
Any further
Second,
discussion? Oh, I think you had a second, right? Oh, yeah, second.
Okay?
Any further discussion? Since there is none, all those in favor say aye. Those against, say nay.
Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. Moving on to treasurer appointment.
Are we gonna, we got something else first?
Mailing.
Oh, mailing, sorry. Mailing permit review.
Well, at our last town board meeting, we made a motion to deposit $500 with the post office to cover the mailings. And so when I contacted the bulk mailer guy, he said, well, the permit's expired. So we have to have a new permit, which is $275. And then he said it would be approximately 300, a little over 300, or I guess what was the amount I said that I told you, right?
It was like 200.
341?
$266. So
Okay.
the total,
Alright.
so after Carolyn met with the postage person, I called him to get some clarification. I asked if, so he said that the mail permit is an annual fee, costs $275. The postage rate for these bulk mail per piece is, I think it was 33.5 cents per piece versus the 60 cents for the first class stamp. I asked him, can we use this for like, sending out tax notices and stuff too? And he said, no, you can't use that. You can only do it for like marketing and stuff. The break-even point is 1,058 annual mailings would be our break-even point. So if we issue 1,059 annual mailings, pieces of mail that we send out through this, then we would come out ahead. And if we issue 1,057 or less, then we would be even. We would be spending more on this version than just by sticking stamps on it. So if we only did one, if we're gonna do a spring and a fall newsletter, then this is the better option. We'll save, I think it was $115 at 750 mailings per cycle.
And that goes from August to August, or?
Yeah, I would imagine that it's just a full 365 days when we renew it. So, if you try and game the timing, you can get 3 mailings out of it, because you could issue the fall 22 one now, the spring 23 one in the spring, and then the fall 23 one on like August 11th, then it's still falling within that year, and then just let your permit expire and then renew it on spring of 24. So you're getting 3 mailings versus 2. I don't know if it's worth all that hassle.
Carolyn, did he say when it expired? Because they never said anything to me about that.
Oh, he said, no, he didn't. He said, this is expired, so now you've got to pay the permit, which is $275. So, I don't know when it expired.
So does that also mean that our number changed then too?
No,
It's still
we're
19?
asking for the same
Okay.
one. And the newsletter's ready to go. As soon as we get this approved but I need, what is the figure that we need to amend that?
So we have $500 that we put on account.
We did not, because Carolyn got that information, so I didn't write the check. for
So what we're
$500.
saying right now though is we got a $275 annual fee we gotta pay.
Yep.
We approved up to set 500.
Right, but what else are we gonna need in addition to that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what do you figure out
So if it's 33.5 cents per mailing, and we use 750 mails, it's gonna be $251 for the postage, plus $275 for the permit, so it'll be $526. So if it were me, I would put $600 on it. Because if, the money just sits at the post office then, and then,
At some point though, that will get exhausted and we'll have to add to it.
yeah.
The permit will be covered under the 500, but that only leaves, whatever, 225?
325.
Yeah.
You put 600.
Yeah.
220, yes, 325 for 600, 225, but I didn't write that check, that $500 check. I only wrote the Northwest Recycling Board one.
You know, he never made out the check because we want, you know, when I found out, I said, don't write the check. So we're gonna have to amend the amount that we approved.
Because we're gonna have at least two.
So you're recommending we do 600 instead of 5?
I think so, just
Cover
cover
that.
I'd rather have a little bit too much than a little bit not enough, you know?
So do you want a motion to amend, the approval of our last board meeting of $500 to $600 for the bulk mailing?
I guess
And the permit.
my thinking is just make a motion
Yeah,
to
to
pay
just
the
approve this.
$275. We said we wanted $500 for mailing.
Oh, just to add.
Just make a motion to pay the $275 annual fee and be done. And we're right back where we were last week.
No, I think that that's too much. I mean, unless you, because that'll leave,
So you're saying we arrived at the wrong conclusion last week to add $500 for postage?
If you're
we were using incorrect math. We didn't have the right, we didn't know.
We didn't know what the rate
We didn't
was.
know what the rental amount was, for the, annual
Permit.
fee. So, yeah, I guess by your logic, then that would be correct,
But
because.
if we leave the 500 that we have on account for postage for whatever we're gonna use it for, it's just an amount that we'll work from, and we just approved $275 tonight to cover the annual fee, because we've already issued a
Yeah.
motion
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
mailings. So I make a motion that we pay the $275 permit
Permit
fee
fee.
Okay.
to the post office. And still put the $500 on account for postage.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve $275 to pay for the
Mailing.
mailing permit. Any further discussion? Since there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay? Ayes have it.
Hey, I got a question, I'm curious. Didn't the newsletter used to come out just once a year in the past, years ago?
No, it was always twice.
Huh?
It was always twice.
I guess twice a year.
Once in the spring, once in the fall.
And then also it was suggested last week at the board meeting that, you know, there may be those that might want to have it, be able to get it on the,
Electronic.
Website, electronically, yeah.
yeah. So, you know, that may cut down on, you know, if they want that permanent record of that, then it may cut down on the mailings, so it may change some, but probably not drastically.
Yeah, we need to come up with a plan of how we start collecting emails, and then we start mailing it out by email, and if people want a hard copy, then they have to request it, and then maybe we charge a small fee for a hard copy.
Mhm.
Treasurer appointment?
Well, apparently we have three. Is that correct? I've only seen two. We did not get one from Steve. Did you did
need
not
one?
send a written for?
Do you need one?
No, I'm just saying,
Okay.
that's what we have, is
Okay.
that you sent a message, apparently, and, that's all I know. And a new one that we just received today. So, I don't know if you had time to look at that.
So you're interested again, Steve?
Yes.
And we have Donna's, came to us in April. And now we have Denise in August. So, Have you all read Denise's? Okay.
Is Denise here? I
Well,
don't think we're gonna solve this tonight. I think we're gonna need to spend a little time to figure out who's the right.
well, I think it's important that, since this has gone on for over 4 months, that we need to speak to each one of these people individually.
I agree.
You know?
I don't even know Denise, I'd like to talk to Denise just to get
I
the.
mean, unless either one of you wanna address us tonight in public, it's your choice.
I could make a few comments if you'd like.
Sure, either one.
Curious as to why I left back in April. John,
Yeah.
when you and Rod gained access to the office after Patty and I left, did you steal the credit card?
No, I did not.
No.
Because before we walked out the door, she showed me the credit card. It's in the upper left-hand drawer by the vault keys. Rod, did you gain access to the vault that night?
Yes.
There's only one person in this room, I think, who got that credit card. And that's,
So where is it?
I think Rod took it. And he sat there quiet for 4 months.
I don't have it and I never seen it. So maybe it's in the location where she left it.
I think you took it, sir. John, was it used for anything other than standard auto pay? Ever, since April?
I don't know. I've not been able to gain access to the online portal.
Because if it was used at all, a credit card company does have facsimiles and signatures.
Do we have any statements recent from that?
Not the statements, you want the charge card.
The statements
Credit
that
card
I've
company
seen,
won't have
I've
that.
only had Intuit monthly payroll charges on it.
That's for payroll, and that's automatic.
No, it's auto pay, there's no issue there. But I don't live in the township, but I have come to care about it. And I think you're in trouble. I think your tax savings account should be about 300,000 higher than it is. Compared to last year, July to July.
And it was that way when you left?
Well, I didn't leave in July. I'm saying from July 31st this year to last year, you should have about $300,000 more than you do. I don't see it.
I don't know that we've had a good balance of our accounts since you left, because we don't have a treasurer.
Yeah. But consider the fact that last year, you paid Birch Street out of the year-end cash from the year before. You haven't constructed anything like that this year. It was 200,000 plus, December 31st last. You should be higher than last year's. You're not.
So where to go?
I don't know. I'm just pointing it out. I don't think anyone on board knows it.
Well, you kept saying that, somebody kept saying that there was 200 there for the roads or something, right? What was that? I mean, I wasn't on board at that point, but I remember hearing the conversation. And then you said at a meeting, so I was told,
I said what?
you said at a meeting, there, the 200 was never there. It's not there, it was never there. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
But we
I
don't-
did not
but we
hear
did-
that,
but
so
we
I
did-
don't, I didn't,
But we did set up the 220,000 in a CD for the ARPA funds. We moved those.
Okay, but this is irrespective of ARPA.
Well, since you've left, we haven't been able to get the accounts balanced because we don't have a treasurer to do that. That's been one of our big challenges.
I understand.
So having clarity. to that
I'm
right
not
now
saying
is-
it's been stolen or anything like that, I'm just looking at the financials. Something's wrong.
Yeah, I don't think we have a good handle on that since you left.
I know we don't. I don't doubt we don't.
We've been struggling just to make it get by with paying bills without having to pay penalties.
So Steve's saying that there's $300,000 less year over year. At December 2020, we had $1.457 million in our tax savings account, and it's December 2021, we had 1.70 million.
Okay, how much was in the checking account though? 12/31. It was 200 and change. And to my knowledge, that hasn't been spent, because there's been no major road construction. So you should be higher than you were July 31st to July 31st. And you're not, you're lower by a good piece of change.
Well, right now in July, we don't really know where we are. That's the problem. That's why we need a treasurer.
The accounts are being reconciled to the bank statements?
Yes.
The only other question I've got is that certificate of deposit that showed up on the treasurer's report, end of July. Where did that cash come from? When does it mature? What's its purpose?
It's not there. I got it off of an old sheet.
Okay.
I'm using the best information I have available to me.
Yeah.
That's why I highlighted that one. That one wasn't verified.
Okay.
The other ones were verified on the bank statements. They were checked to the bank statements and they tied out to the accounting system.
Do you do any type of audit to the accounts before new treasurer takes over, so the new treasurer knows what they're getting into before they?
Absolutely should, yes.
Absolutely, correct.
I think this year, next spring sometime, would be a good year to have external auditors in here.
An external auditor, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked
Not
about
necessarily
maybe
review,
sooner
but
than
that's an
later.
option. Reviews are
Why
cheaper
you
than
don't
full-scale
make
audits.
spring to do it? Why wait till spring? If you're talking about hiring the new
Well,
treasurer, why wouldn't you have it done now?
Are you gonna go with a full-fledged audit and have them audit all the books, or are you just gonna go with a review? Because you're talking, how much for a review compared to a full audit? There's a big difference. Do you wanna finish out the year so you can do the whole year?
I had prices almost 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. And there were 3 options I was given. And I honestly, I don't have that information in front of me, but there was a full audit. There was an audit that you could go back a couple of years. And then there was an audit, and I can't remember what they called it, but you could specifically ask them to audit what you want them to, and they would go back for a couple of years and do that also. So there are 3 different types and 3 different price ranges. And most expensive was about $7,000, $7,000 to $8,000. And that was going back 1 full term. And the least expensive was.
By term, you mean calendar year?
No, it would be like 2 years, basically. All these were 2 years. They go back 2 years. So term, I'm thinking of a group in. If you wanted to go back a 3rd or 4th year, they would also do that. But usually, they say they usually go back 2 years, is what they had told me.
Regardless of who you select as a candidate, I would get the treasurer in here, clean up those reconciliations and so the board knows where you're at.
Exactly.
That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, we need to know where we're at, absolutely,
Yes. Now,
yes.
I wanna know, because we've got our Fall Fest money coming in, all that money, and I had the first check of donations that, there were checks. It was like, was it 1,200 or was it 1,100? I can't remember. It was one or the other that I gave to Tanya, and she said that was deposited. I never got a receipt for that, so I have gotten another 1,100 or 1,200. One was one and one was the other. And so I gave it to John, we put it in a manila envelope, sealed it up, and stuck it in the vault. Because I'm not touching another cent of that money until I have a receipt for everything that the fire department is bringing to be deposited.
That's how it's supposed to be.
And so,
But we don't have a treasurer right now.
we don't have anyone that can even write us a receipt.
As long as the two people counting cash are not related, you can have anybody. It doesn't have to
With
be
the
treasurer.
way it is around here, I'm not willing to do that. And I've been in charge of that money for 3 years. And and it is a lot of work, as you know, because we have done it together. And I just don't feel comfortable because somebody is gonna say something that was done incorrectly. And I'm not gonna be the brunt of it. I want it done correctly now.
Steve, I got a question for you. Why did you resign from this position before?
Certain behaviors that I saw on the board that I did not like.
Okay, and you're okay with this board currently?
That, and given the fact that I think you guys are heartfelt. I do.
Okay,
That's heartfelt.
so my personal opinion is, I would say Steve is the best person for the job.
This young lady sitting next to you is the other candidate.
He's overruling his wife.
If you are successful and you're candidates, I didn't know you were about
I love my wife, but I don't know if I want her to go through this.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, so yes, I did, my name's Denise, I've lived in there, McMillan, pretty much most of my life, and such. So, yes, I'm recently retired, so I'm kind of, I'm getting a little bored. I gotta have something to do, part-time job. I have been the treasurer for the Baker Snow, as you can see in my resume that I sent you. I've been treasurer with the Bakerville Snow Rovers for, I don't even know how long, it's probably more than 20 years plus. And then prior to that, within my nursing career, I also was the treasurer, we kind of always traded offices and stuff when I was involved with a nursing organization, the American Nephrology Nurses Association, which I was involved with that for probably 16 years as well. Then held that office for at least 2 or 3 terms. So I am familiar with that. I am familiar with the 401c, which is not for this township, but submitting to the IRS every year, that type of thing. I've also gone through help assisting with an auditing of the books because we had our all of our records went through the accountant to verify and make sure everything was in order and those kind of things. So I have done that. But this I think would be a challenge given the fact that there are issues here. I mean, there truly are issues, and it is very nerve-wracking. I mean, to be that person that's going to sign your name on checks and all that type of thing, I think that the role of the treasurer should be clear. It should be respected. And I would be the first person right up there and say, you're not getting nothing out of me unless I have a receipt, period. I don't give money ahead of time. I don't, you know, can I have this because I'm gonna buy it? No. You give me the receipt first and then it will get paid for. Or an invoice and then it will get paid for. There is a lot of, it's very easy, you know, going into this role, and I think that we need to get people involved that, care about the township and get things straightened out, because this is a mess. I mean, you can ask people, I know a lot of people, nearby townships and stuff, and I'll tell you what, they're like, man, there's issues over here. You know, and stuff, and then, you know, and it's true. Not to say that I would be the person that's gonna, you know, figure this out and all that type of thing, however, I mean, I think things do need to change. And that type of thing, so, I mean, you know, Steve has done this before, so he is very familiar with that, I would be okay with that, I mean, this isn't a competition for me and him, it isn't. But I didn't know that he had, expressed any interest in it, so, I mean, and I would be fine with that.
You have a brother
Yeah.
by the name of the nephew?
Yeah, huh?
The nephew? Is that your brother? The niece, the nephew?
Yes, he is. But anyway, so that's right, I mean, I would be willing to give this a go. I mean, I really, you know, would be something that probably would be interesting to me, but I'm okay if the board would choose Steve to return since he is very familiar with it. But I do think something needs to be definitely looked at and changed.
Thank you. Well, Steve, I heard you had some stipulations. I also have some stipulations.
18,000 a year. I don't ever want to work Fall Fest, and I want full access to everything that I should have, which I have not always had.
But if you're the treasurer, you're an integral part of the Fall Fest.
I was a few years ago, you asked that I not be involved.
Huh?
You asked that I not be involved one year.
So is that, are you talking like,
I mean,
you bring the money to him and he writes you the receipts the
We
next
had,
day?
yes.
I think what he's thinking of, he doesn't want to be sitting down there all day at Fall Fest.
It's in the evening, it takes 3, 4, 5 hours, I don't know how long it took, but we basically count cash in front of each other.
Right.
Every third dollar is hers, every third dollar is hers.
So you're saying that you, well, but,
I won't be here this year, I'll be out of state.
okay, because it doesn't have to be counted that night. We have in the years past, I know there have been, where the money has just been put in a locked bag and taken over to the vault.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day or two, it can be counted.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in until Wednesday or Thursday at the earliest. I'm going to Las Vegas.
But that's your stipulation though, is you don't want to spend the day down there.
Well.
And then at the end.
Is that it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Well, that can be.
Yeah, okay.
Plus, I don't like you writing letters to the editor about us. I think that, I've already had that out with you. So, I think that, you know, you're here as a representative, you're not here here to help build us up, not tear us down.
I never wrote one about the board while I was here. Another board, but not this board.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You got it?
Mhm.
We've
Let's
already
go
had
freedom
that
of
discussion.
speech.
We moved on. So, okay, so, okay.
Steve, do you remember, we did give you a pay raise last year, do you remember what that was?
I went from 12,000 to 15.
15, okay.
Price of groceries are up.
They are.
But the rule of thumb within the government is that the clerk, or the treasurer gets half of what the clerk gets.
So
Right.
it should be
So
more.
18.
18 is what I want.
Is that, what is,
Well, whatever
Yeah.
that is,
what is it, John, 36? That's on the budget for clerk?
36, holy
I'm
cow.
pretty sure that 36 is including the employer share of FICA taxes.
Yep, Social Security, Medicare.
Why do we do that anyway?
It's easier to show it there than to try to separate it, because then they get confused, because then they ask the question, well, what is that for? And you say, well, that's for the part of the wages. That was what the accountants had recommended when they did the last audit.
So where are we, John?
Yeah, that's probably about half.
No decisions tonight, though?
I don't think we should.
Okay.
So, first,
I gotta go because I'm wearing shorts and I rode my moped and it's chilly out there.
thank you.
If you get it, Kenny.
Oh, okay, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Okay, so there has to be, if we're not gonna make any decision and have a, this is critical
Very critical.
that we have a treasurer. So when are we gonna get this done? I mean, we've got,
Okay, so,
Well, the budget shows 16,147.50 in the budget for the treasurer's salary.
okay,
So that's 15,000 plus employer share of FICA, which is 7.65%. So the gross salary is 15,000.
You should have plenty in there, because you haven't paid a treasurer for 4 months.
Yeah,
To get you through the year.
yeah, because it only shows, well, this was May 8th, we had spent year-to-date was 32.29.
what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it's ludicrous that we need to get this done, and so I don't want to be dragging our
I
feet.
think
Okay, so-
given Denise's comments and Steve's interest, that I think we should go with Steve.
So you're thinking about go ahead and voting on,
Look at it this way, if somebody don't work out, you got one in the background.
What about you?
What's that?
I said, look at it this way, if something doesn't work out, you got an extra one in the background. One of the two.
An heir and a spare.
Yeah.
I think the other one is too much baggage right now. From past. Regardless of situation.
If it's taking you guys this long to make this decision, then I think that you should wait. And then you should maybe talk to Steve, and you should talk to me, or whoever else you wanna talk to.
Yeah,
To
Thank you.
make your final decision, because if you
but
can't
soon,
make your,
it needs to
well,
be
true.
done soon.
but what
That's
I'm,
my
that's
point,
what I'm
yeah.
saying, if you can't make that decision, then obviously you have questions as well. Or whatever it may be, and that type of thing, so maybe that was what you do, and then whatever, whoever makes this decision, I don't know.
Thank you, yes.
You got what, 3 weeks until your next board meeting? We're done. You got time in between to talk to everybody.
After Fall Fest, the next
we
week.
have to follow up on this stuff.
Okay, so everybody knows, all of these checks that we're getting in for donations, which are in the thousands, every bit of it I will take, and because there's also selling of tickets. And the fire department does not want to hold that money. So therefore, the way we did it last year is that Pat brought the money from the tickets in $1,000 increments. I then took it I gave him a receipt. Then I took it to Steve, who gave me a receipt, and it was designated for tickets. And then he took to the bank and deposited. Now, when those tickets are all sold, that's $7,500. That's just the tickets. It's not the $5,000, $6,000 that we get for donations. And so, there isn't anybody here that's gonna wanna be responsible alone for that money. So this is what the quandary is. I have got to have some direction on how we're gonna handle this. Because
I think what you should do is make copies of your checks
we do that, and
And
do
your
that for
receipts.
everybody.
and tell Bob to deposit it. He's
Yeah.
the one that's been
The
designated.
first 2 checks I gave him, he didn't deposit for 6 weeks.
Well, Bob's gotta get better at that.
So, no, yeah. So, anyway, are you gonna be responsible for taking this money then?
He'll deposit it.
I mean, that's where it's gonna be. If we don't have, we've got to have some kind of a process here.
It's gotta be a
That's
board
too
member
much
that
money.
deposits
In
it.
the interim, you should, whoever's collecting the money should count it with another board member. You both say what it's from, if it's a donation, if it's this, if it's that, whatever it is. You both sign it, date it, keep that with that amount of money and put it in the vault or wherever you're putting it in this interim. That way you have 2
Yeah,
signatures.
that's why we did that the way that, the first, because I can't, it's not gonna be any safer than in there.
Correct.
When does fall,
Except in the bank.
Hmm?
when does fall fest?
September 10th.
We'll do what we gotta do.
Okay. We've got a lot of catching up to do right now. So you've got to meet with me, and we need to get the money that we have taken care of right now, which is several thousand.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Moving on to board appointment, do you understand that we've got another individual that has put their hat in the ring?
Yes,
I
yes.
have not had a chance to talk to this person at all.
Oh my God, so another postponement.
Yes, unfortunately. I would definitely like to talk to that person before.
Okay. All right.
We should try to set up a night where we can all take care of the treasurer and this.
What are you doing next Monday night? That should give you the rest of the week to be able to get a hold of people and talk to them.
We gotta do it as soon as we can.
I know. I don't wanna wait 3 weeks. We don't wanna wait.
No,
That's Bob, you gotta take 6 weeks to deposit a check.
I don't think I did. I'll look at the deposit slips.
Hey, they got cameras down there anyhow, what the hell.
Okay.
It was probably 4 weeks.
It was 4 weeks, not 6, okay, whatever. Okay.
So who are the 3 people that are interested in the board?
Pardon me?
Who are the people interested in the board position? I know 2 of them. Who's the third one?
The candidates.
The candidates.
For the board.
Is that what they talk about?
Oh.
Or still talk about the tree?
One is already pulled out because of the behavior of last month's meeting.
Okay, so who's the other one?
The other one is, I don't know his first name, it's Gatto.
Gatto?
Mm-hmm. Dan, I think it is, Dan Gatto. This one, yeah. So, and you.
Well, I know I was, but I was just curious if the other one was.
Oh, yeah, that's it. So, I mean, if people are willing to come forward and, you know, I mean, we have to look at this.
No, I
All of
totally
it,
agree.
you
And
know, so, anyway. Okay,
I have one question on the treasurer thing yet. We know who 2 of them candidates are right now. Who's the third?
The third one was Donna.
Okay. How can we let her be a candidate when she was fired from the job back in 2010-11
She was,
for not doing her job correctly? What's gonna decide that, or what's gonna happen if she doesn't do her job again?
she has been our treasurer since then,
I was gonna say she
for a
was
period
rehired.
of time. And there was no problem.
She quit.
But it was, there was a problem because she was never to be rehired according to that hearing. And I was sitting here in that hearing just like you were, Carolyn.
I
She
know.
was never to be rehired.
Okay, so then we had an investigation, which I participated with for 6
Doesn't make any
months.
difference. Never means never.
Well, I don't know that it was ever documented. that
It
she
was
never-
documented.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that, but I know that,
This
Anyway.
gentleman right here has the documentation in his hand.
Well, I just have a document stating how, when we terminated her when I was on the board, that there was an order of removal. And there's a state statute, and Tom, I told you about, when you're lawfully removed from a position, you cannot come back in that same position. And she was removed,
by the board,
yes,
by the board.
By a hearing.
by a hearing by the court. Well,
Well, I don't know, I'm not, all I'm doing is telling you what the attorneys told me. So I'm not gonna argue with you, you guys were there, I was there, you know, it was a long time ago already. And so I, you know, whatever. So if you don't want, if this board does not want to entertain that, that's beside the point for me.
I
So,
don't think they should.
got it, okay. So, anyway, there we go. Let's go on with the agenda.
Plan Commission Board Report.
order of removal, all my due process here.
Basically, do we want the Plan Commission to give us a report like the fire department does? The Plan Commission is asking that the whole board chimes in on this. They don't want just me to chime in, they want the whole board to chime in, whether we want this information beforehand. Just for everybody's clarification for this, we're not asking for their minutes, because their minutes are not formal, they're not approved, so they cannot be turned in with document other
Well,
than.
they could be turned in, but that state's unapproved on them. I mean, it's.
Basically,
Well,
all
we
we're
don't
asking,
even have-
all we're basically asking for is, as the
Kind of a
fire departments.
synopsis.
Exactly.
And
This is
so-
what we need forward, this is what we're
Okay,
talking
but then,
about.
then everybody on the board has to adhere to that,
Yes,
as you have asked.
yes.
Okay,
I myself like the idea of knowing what we're coming into, getting it ahead of time. Like, I got to read this from Denise, it was given to me ahead of time. That kind of stuff is good, because then I don't have to come in here, sit down 10 minutes before the meeting and read through everything, and then decide, yep, I gotta vote yes or no on this, or come up with questions. I mean, the packets are thick enough just to get through, period, in 10 or 15 minutes. So, I like to get the information ahead of time, I personally do, that's my opinion. And it's just, basically, you know, this is, I saw something in there about Sebastian doing some rezoning or something over, I'm guessing it's over on the corner off of Galvin there in 97, so.
The second one tonight,
I mean, all that kind of stuff that's pretty.
I didn't send it to you.
You didn't send it?
Uh-huh.
I read it, somebody sent it,
I
so
did.
thank you. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I like to at least get, because I'm not very good with the computer myself. So when I sit down to a computer, the more I get off, the better.
it's just.
I'm getting better, but I'm just not, I mean.
But our ordinance still states that somebody from the town board is supposed to be at one of our commission meetings always.
But that's only 1 out of 5. And as I stated before, I'd rather have your opinion on what you, it was your meeting, or, I mean, you're the chair of the meeting. It's your meeting, so I'd rather have your opinion of what your people came up with than let's say I sit there and I go, no, I don't think that's what they meant. I mean, that's the, or this is the question, or Tom sits there.
Still come to the meetings and be asked, answer any questions that the board has.
I know, but within 2 weeks of your meeting, we need to sit up here usually and make an act on what you guys had approved or disapproved.
Well, that's why where John sent you those Sebastian things, which,
See, that's a perfect thing.
you know,
It's
you
to get that
know it's
info.
coming down the pike. We do the legwork.
And that's all you
And
need.
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be from day one. Is that you get the material, you discuss it, you figure it out, you've done the legwork, and then that is what you can just do a synopsis of it so we can read it a little bit instead of having to go through everything now that he sends it out earlier. Otherwise, we're sitting here that night and we're trying to have a meeting and trying to figure out what the heck all are we supposed to be doing here. It just is more organized that way.
So instead of coming from John, you want it to come from Dorothy, right after their meeting, or what?
Not the actual forms, I mean, yes, the forms come from John, but basically what they've discussed on it, I mean, if there were some issues that they had some questions that they asked on and they thought it was very useful information, to relay that to us. Because like I said, not all of the board, we only have to have one board member there. There's still five, well, there's 4 of us right now, there will be 5 of us sitting on the board. And that way she can put it in her own words of the group, of that committee, and then get it to all of the board on that Friday or Thursday before. That's all we're asking for.
And as you stated, it's for all of you guys too.
I know where I work, when we have meetings, there's a lot talked about, and you'll forget. And having the meeting minutes, even if they're unapproved, is something valuable just
Something,
to see
yeah.
and read over.
Wouldn't
And
that
I
be just
said
the
from day
synopsis
one,
anyway?
Yeah.
when
Yeah, the
the whole
unapproved
board,
minutes.
Right,
That'd be the easiest way to go.
yeah, just the unapproved minutes is all we would really need.
Yeah.
And that just gives us a highlight, cliff notes of what you guys discussed, with some key points,
Exactly.
you know.
That makes more sense.
the town association said it's gotta be a board issue, not.
Well, that's what, he has the prerogative to do that, to request that of us. And,
Of the board.
yes, of the board, yes. And so, that's, okay, so that's what it's, that, if that's, that
So I need a
means all of
motion.
us.
So I need a motion.
I make a motion that the planning commission send us a synapse, or send John a synapse report of their meeting, and what would be the timeline on that?
So he has it before.
Thursday. That would be great.
By the end of Thursday before.
Before the regularly scheduled board meetings, yeah.
Correct.
You really want to be on one.
Okay.
Hey, I got a question. Did previous plan commissions, did they do this, what you want, this report thing or whatever? And I'm talking, you know, in the past years, mind you.
No.
I don't think they were asked to present it to the clerk to be part of.
So that
the
would
packet.
lead me to believe that you guys are slow. You don't know what the hell's going on.
You can look at it that way if you'd like, that's one way to look at it, but
That's
I
my
think,
conclusion.
I think the one thing that we're just trying to do is we're not trying to create extra work. They're gonna document their meeting in their minutes, it'll be unapproved, but at least we have something to look at. I'm not looking to create more work.
If they get that from the plan commission, and the item does not get on the town board agenda, even though it was something that the plan commission had recommended that the town board approve, if it doesn't get on your agenda, then it's not on the plan commission's shoulders, it's on the town board's shoulders as to why it does not get on the agenda. And then the property owner can come back to the town board and say, did you have questions, why did it not get on the agenda?
That's all part of the report. It's all part of the report at the board meeting. And so it's much easier than for us to say we've
But
reviewed.
it's a kind of a
Yeah, but that's
checks and
what,
balance type of thing.
it makes
So-
it easier for us to say, we reviewed where, Dorothy, is there anything that you want to highlight? Is there anything you want to highlight about this report? And pay attention, close attention to this or that. And it does save time, so.
She has a valid point. I was under the impression tonight that there was going to be a treasurer appointed and a new board member appointed.
Yeah.
You guys come up crickets again. No decision.
George, we got this today.
Pardon me?
We got this today in the mail.
That ain't my problem. I'm just saying, you guys, this is.
That's what I'm saying, though. We can't.
And I'm saying I come up here to this meeting to see what our new treasurer is gonna be and our new
You know
board
what?
member.
It's not fair to her if we disregard this. George.
It's not my problem. I can't help it. I'm just saying, as a resident, that's what I'm seeing. You guys sit up there and you don't make a decision. You know, everybody looks at each other and you mumble around and big deal. So what the hell are we here for?
We did make a decision.
Huh?
We did make a decision.
Shit, I could've stayed home and got called a liar. I come up here to get called a liar.
I didn't.
I didn't say you did, Tom.
Okay, George. I'm just saying, we made a decision.
By the way, how's your COVID coming?
My lungs are sore.
Have you?
Yes.
Read the words, Bob.
What's that?
Okay, I have one other thing that I want to inform.
We did not vote on
Okay.
the motion. I don't think it was a second.
It was not second.
You made the motion. The motion is to send, plan commission will send the clerk a synopsis of the meeting by the Thursday prior to the regularly scheduled board meeting. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Since there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. Mrs. Opitz, you had one other last thing.
I have a report here. We had a problem with the air conditioner up there in the pavilion again. And got the floor flooded and what have you. And so, it happened to be one of our residents had the pavilion rented. And so he, on his own dime, got somebody else to come in and check it because we've had the guy that we purchased the air conditioner from has been here, what, 3-4 times? And with this freezing up and what have you. And he said that, the last time he said, everything is fine, just run the blower all the time and it will be fine. Well, we come in and so they turn the air conditioner on, it freezes up, then you have to shut it off, it floods when it defrosts and what have you. So one of the resident that had it, had reserved on his own, had someone else come out for a second opinion on what might be. And here is what they found. Got on site and found that condenser was low on 410A Freon, then found a leak on the liquid line going into the evaporator. We'll need to fix the leak and properly charge the system. So there was a leak. So now we have to meet with, I just wanted everybody to know, once again, I'm gonna meet with this guy and see what he will do. He's gotta fix it.
He will.
And so, because it's under warranty. And so that's where we are with that.
Okay.
That's all, just wanted to.
Does the warranty cover the Freon bills? And the only reason I'm asking is because Freon is outrageous right now.
Does it cover what?
The warranty.
I don't know about that, but the last time he was in there, they put a little bit in there because it was a little bit low. They didn't find a leak in there. They just thought it was just a little bit low. And he did not charge us for that.
Okay.
So I don't know, I would guess that if there's a leak in the system, that Freon would be under warranty. That would be the way I would look at it as a contractor.
We may need to
But-
make sure, just because I know it's people who are needing Freon filled, they're getting told to buy a new air conditioner because the cost of Freon is ridiculous.
Yeah, and again, he's been called back, I wanna say this is the 5th time it throws up.
Yeah,
At least 4 times, I'm thinking it's 5 times.
yeah, so,
So if there was an actual leak found, then I'm sure this has been going on all summer, so I'm sure he'll be good with it. He's a good guy, you know, it just, they didn't find the leak, so.
that's it. Just wanted to say,
New business, John, you kind of alluded to this, so.
Yeah, so I received an email from Marathon County asking if we had any bridge aid projects for this year or next year that we wanted to submit to the county. So I wanted to ask if we
They're
had
due in
anything.
October, and we were working on them, or not.
Yes.
September 1st for the 2022s, so if we have any from this current year.
I called Jim, talked to him, the ones we wanted to do were not covered underneath this.
Okay.
So we are doing 2 more for next year that hopefully will be covered.
Okay, so I'll wait to hear from you guys and then I'll submit this. Okay, great.
but that's federal. But this is for federal.
Yes, they might be covered underneath this.
And so it might be, maybe, or if you're gonna do more on, if you're gonna do anything on man,
Yeah.
and that would be with,
None of those are big enough though, for that.
oh,
It's close by size.
oh, okay,
That's why the other 2 were.
okay,
Able to go.
okay, all right. Okay,
Need a motion to adjourn then?
Move to adjourn.
I second that.
A motion, to adjourn, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Those against? Adjourn.
Seems to me like, yeah. What's her face? Her husband's.
I see that.
And he has stuff in it, so just the other day.
And then I'll just go and I forward it to my cell phone.
Here's a statute.
You don't slow down.
This is from McMillan, order renewal, certificate of order renewal review to all the board members. We all signed it, all went back to the office. I think there's a copy of the, court orders.